Welcome back to the channel, Magic the Gathering fans. On this episode of Card Anthology, we'll be going over the set that came after the Torment expansion. This set was the third and final set of the Odyssey block and would be released before the set Onslaught. So, let's kick off the episode that finished the Odyssey block with the expansion known as Judgment. The Judgment set was released on May 27th of the year 2002 and was the 26th official expansion of the Magic the Gathering franchise. It was led by designer Brian Tinsman, with other designers being Mike Elliott, Richard Garfield, Bill Rose, and Mark Rosewater. The development team was led by both Randy Buehler and William Jockish, with other developers being Joe Hawk, Worth Wolpert, designer Mike Elliott, along with contributions from Paul Barclay, Michael Denai, and Brian Schneider. The art directors of the Judgment expansion were Jeremy Crawford and Dana Knudsen. There were a total of 143 cards in this expansion, with 55 commons, 44 uncommons, and 44 rares, with the symbol of the set being a set of scales, which is the symbol of justice. The cards were sold in 15 card booster packs that feature the artwork of Phantom Neshoba. Fat Packs, a novel of the same name, and 4 pre-constructed decks were also released with this expansion set. The 4 pre-constructed decks were the blue and red Air Razors deck, the mono white Inundation deck, the mono green Pain Flow deck, and the white and green Spectral Slam deck. The pre-release card for this set was the foil card Glory, printed in Hebrew, and was the last pre-release card with a so-called language gimmick. Judgment was one of the first sets to be released with Magic Online, and Magic Online was released almost 1 month after Judgment was released in its physical form. In comparison to the previous expansion set Torment having a higher amount of black cards, Judgment had a higher amount of green and white cards to combat this. There were only 16 black cards, 27 cards each of red and blue, and 33 cards each of white and green, with also numerous cards referring to swamps, forests, and plains. The power level of green and white was also much higher compared to the other colors as well. Judgment would continue to use the mechanics of Flashback, Threshold, and Nightmare that were introduced in both Odyssey and Torment. Judgment had the themes and mechanics such as the Advocates, which were creatures with activated abilities that return cards from an opponent's graveyard to his or her hand for a beneficial effect to you or a negative effect to an opponent. The Advocates were only green and white creatures and can be seen on the cards Force Mage Advocate and Shield Mage Advocate. Another theme were the Phantoms, which were star and zero spirit creatures that come into play with a fixed number of +1/+1 counters and prevent damage that would be dealt to them at the cost of removing a +1/+1 counter from them. This theme had a host of strong and resilient creatures that were powerful and decently difficult to deal with. The cards Phantom Flock and Phantom Tiger were part of this. The storyline of Judgment continued the adventure of the character Kamal and the artifact known as the Mirari. The story is of Kamal trying to keep the Mirari safe from other people and himself as per the dying wish of his friend Chainer. Many characters, including Laquatus and Isha, attempt to obtain the Mirari for themselves, while Kamal's sister Jessica and mentor Bathar try to separate the Mirari from Kamal in order to prevent the Mirari's corrupting power from influencing Kamal. Near the end of the story, after much arguing and warring, the Mirari's influence on the characters of the plot are diminished as most of them are killed off. The Mirari is then attached to Kamal's sword and planted through the corpse of the character Laquatus inside of the Croson Forest. This eventually channels powerful magic into the land and allowing both the flora and fauna to grow bigger and wilder. There were 3 true cycles and 2 vertical cycles within this expansion set. The first cycle was the 1 converted mana cost sacrificial creatures, which were common creatures with an activated ability that requires sacrificing itself. The 1 converted mana cost sacrificial creatures were the white colored Benevolent Bodyguard, the blue colored Hapless Researcher, the black colored Cabal Trainee, the red colored Dwarven Scorcher, with the last card being the green colored Croson Wayfarer. The next cycle was the Incarnations, which were uncommon creatures that cost 4 converted mana and had an in-colored keyword ability. If the graveyard and land requirements were met, creatures that you control would gain a certain keyword associated with that creature's color. The Incarnations were the white colored Valor, the blue colored Wonder, the black colored Filth, the red colored Anger, and the green colored Brawn. The last true cycle were the Wishes, which were rare non-permanent spells that allow its controller to choose a card that he or she owns from outside the game and put that card in that player's hand. In the sense of a sanctioned tournament, this meant the sideboard. However, with casual games, this could be any card from your collection. The Wishes were the white colored Golden Wish, the blue colored Cunning Wish, the black colored Death Wish, the red colored Burning Wish, and the green colored Living Wish. There were 2 vertical cycles, with the first vertical cycle being the Gorgers, which were red nightmare creatures that had an enter the battlefield trigger along with a leave the battlefield trigger. The Gorgers were the common card Spell Gorger Barbarian, the uncommon card Soul Gorger Org, with the last card being the rare card World Gorger Dragon. The other vertical cycle was called the Wyrmfangs, which were blue nightmare creatures that also had an enter the battlefield and a leave the battlefield trigger, just like the Gorgers did. The Wyrmfangs were the common cards Wyrmfang Drake and Wyrmfang Newt, the uncommon cards Wyrmfang Turtle and Wyrmfang Crab, with the last being the rare cards such as Wyrmfang Behemoth and Wyrmfang Manta. The Odyssey block had 2 true Mega Block cycles and 1 Mega Vertical cycle. Mega cycles were cycles of cards across all the sets of a certain block. The first Mega cycle was called the Alternate Win Enchantments, which were 5 rare enchantments that allowed its controller to win the game if certain unusual conditions were met. The Alternate Win Enchantment cards were Battle of Wits and Chance Encounter, which were from the Odyssey expansion, Mortal Kombat from the Torment expansion, and the cards Epic Struggle and Test of Endurance, which came from the Judgment expansion. The other true Mega Block cycle was called the Lords, which are creatures with a casting cost of 3 of a certain color with an activated ability allowing its controller to tap a creature of a creature subtype for an effect. The Lords were Master Apothecary, Patron Wizard, along with Set and Krosan Protector, which all came from the Odyssey expansion set, Zombie Trailblazer, which came from the Torment expansion set, with the last card being Dwarven Blood Boiler, which came out of the Judgment expansion. The Mega Vertical cycle had cards that were supposed to be for a mechanic called Restock in the Odyssey expansion. During development, however, Restock would only appear in the latter of the 2 expansion sets in the Odyssey block. The common card Battlefield Scrounger came out of the Judgment set, while the other 2 cards in the Mega Vertical cycle were the uncommon card Anurid Scavenger and the rare card Gurzagos, which came out of the Torment expansion set. Judgment had 1 mirror pair, 2 reprint cards, and 6 cards that are strictly better than previously printed cards in Magic the Gathering's history. The mirror pair included the blue card Defy Gravity and the green card Canopy Claws, which were 1 converted mana cost instant spells that either grant or remove flying from a target creature until end of turn. Both of these cards had flashback as well. The 2 reprinted cards were the white instant card Guided Strike, which was first printed in the Weatherlight expansion set, along with the now famous green creature Urnam Jin, which was originally printed in the very first Magic the Gathering expansion set, Arabian Nights. The strictly better cards were Benevolent Bodyguard, which is an upgrade of Eager Cadet from the starter 1999 set, Cabal Trainee being a better card than Muckrets, which was a card from the Portal set, Dwarven Scorcher, which is an upgraded version of the card Dwarven Trader from the set Homelands, the card Envelop, which was a lower casting cost version of the card Extinguished, which came out of the Portal Second Age set, Hapless Researcher, which was more valuable than the Merfolk of the Pearl Trident all the way back from Limited Edition Alpha, and Krosan Wayfarer, which was an upgraded version of Willow Elf, which also came from starter 1999. Notable and tournament-worthy cards at the time were cards such as Living Wish. This is a green sorcery card that would let you choose a creature or land card you own from outside the game, reveal that card and put it into your hand. Remove Living Wish from the game. Another wish card was Cunning Wish, which was a blue instant card that would let you choose an instant card from outside the game, reveal that card and put it into your hand. Remove Cunning Wish from the game. Hunting Grounds was a green and white enchantment. This card had the threshold mechanic and reads, whenever an opponent plays a spell, you may put a creature card from your hand into play. Cabal Therapy was a black sorcery card that says name a non-land card. Target player reveals his or her hand and discards from it all cards with that name. It also had the flashback mechanic with a sacrifice creature cost. Anger was a red 2/2 incarnation with haste. As long as Anger is in your graveyard and you control a mountain, creatures you control have haste. Another incarnation was Genesis, which was a green 4/4 incarnation and reads, at the beginning of your upkeep, if Genesis is in your graveyard, you may pay 2 generic mana and 1 green mana. If you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. The third wish card, Burning Wish, is a red sorcery card that reads, choose a sorcery card you own from outside the game, reveal that card and put it into your hand. Remove Burning Wish from the game. Mirari's Wake was a green and white enchantment and states creatures you control get +1/+1, and whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana to your mana pool of any type that land produced. Other cards from this expansion that would affect other formats were cards such as Solitary Confinement, which is a white enchantment and states, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Solitary Confinement unless you discard a card from your hand. Skip your draw step, and you cannot be the target of spells or abilities, along with preventing damage that would be dealt to you. The last card we will talk about is the card Test of Endurance, which is a white enchantment card that reads, at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 50 or more life, you win the game. A sealed booster box of Judgment is worth around $250. So that is all we have for this episode of Card Anthology for Magic the Gathering. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like this video, share it with other Magic the Gathering fans, and drop a comment so we can talk more about what you like and didn't like about this set. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more videos such as this one, and follow us on Twitter by going to @thecardbazaarcc for the latest updates about our channel and future content. Make sure to check out our sponsor 5 Color Combo by going to their website along with downloading their app. While you're there, make sure to use the code TheCardBazaar to get a 5% discount on your total purchases. If you missed our last episode over the Torment expansion, be sure to hit the link in the video description to check it out. Our next episode will be over the expansion set Onslaught, so be on the lookout for that video in the future. That is all I have for this episode, everyone. Coach signing out, and I will see you all next time.